Hello everyone, welcome to Code with Akinchan. In this video, I will show the basic CRUD operation of an array in Python. Okay, so before we start, at first we have to know what is the difference between array and a list. So in case of array, we can store only homogeneous data. That means here you can see I create a array over here which name is my array, and here you can see here I write some value 1 2 3 like this way. All are the integer data type. Okay, and in case of list we can store here you can see I create a list where we can store heterogeneous data. That means in case of zeroth index I put a value integer value, and in case of index number 1 I write a string over here, and index number 2 I write some decimal value. Okay, and that's in this way. After that I write the boolean data type, and also I store this array inside a list. Okay, so that means list can store heterogeneous data, and in case of array, we can store only homogeneous data. That means here I put all data in integer. In similar way, if we want, we can store float value. Similar way, we can store character and the boolean value. And another thing is that array can store primitive data type. That means inside an array, we can store only four types of data, that which is int, float, character, and the boolean data type. Okay, but in case of list we can store heterogeneous data. That means sorry uh, primitive and non-primitive data also. Okay, so that means all primitive data, that means integer, float, string, and boolean data type. Along with we can store an array. Here you can see I store an array. Okay, and in similar way we can store tuple, set, dictionary, as well as a list can contain. Also we can store a list inside a list. Okay, so at first run this to see this. Okay, is it work or not in case of array and in case of list. Okay, so here you can see that in case of array, all data are integer type, and whereas a list can contain integer, and after that it string, after that decimal, and after that boolean, and after that I assign the value of array inside a list over here. So this is the main difference. Okay, and one another thing is that by default in Python, when we write some value inside the third bracket, it that means it consider as a list in case of Python. So here you can see my list, and I write the value inside the third bracket, and after that when I print the type of this my list, then here you can see that the type is the reference my list is list, and after that I print the value. Okay, whereas in case of array, here you can see print type array is array, but when we define an array, we need to import explicitly the module which name is array. Here you can see at first I import this module array inside this program. Okay, and after that I create a instance of this module which name is a, and after that I create a reference which name is ARR, and in case of my array this is also a reference. Here what I do, at first I call the constructor of this instance a dot array, and after that it takes two argument. First one is the data type. That means which type of data I want to store inside the array. So that's why I write here I, that means it takes integer data. And here you can see all the data I put inside the array all are in integer. Okay. So that's why I want to check, or I want to print the type of this array. Okay. So that's why you can see that class array, this is the module name at first I called, and it is the type to array dot array. Okay, so main thing is that in context to Python, by default when we write something inside the third bracket, it consider as a list, whereas that mean, and whereas in when we declare an array, we need to import explicitly array module to this function, and after that in this way we can declare a array in Python. Okay, let's move to the CRUD operation, that means the main program. Okay, so at first I comment this. So what do we see, that the main difference is each array and a list is that array can contain homogeneous data, and it supports only primitive data type, and we need to import explicitly array method inside the program, and after that we can use the array. Okay, otherwise it will be considered as a list. So let's, here at first I uncomment this. Okay, let's see, let's run the program. Okay, so next we move to the CRUD operation of an array. Okay, so here you can see there is a menu. Here there are 6 menus over here. First, that means 1 for insert element, 2 for display array, 3 for search element, 4 for update element, and 5 for delete, and 0 for exit. Because 0 for exit. Okay, here we all know that this is a menu driven program, so that's why the program will run until you press the 0. That means you want to exit from the program. So for this I write a menu over here which name is menu. By the def keyword I write the function. Okay, and inside this function I use infinite while loop, so that's why I write while true, and after that I print all the menu here to display this menu. Okay, and after that I ask for the user to input the choice. So that's why I write here, and here you can see that take integer input. Okay, and it is a function, okay, which is created by myself, and which, and let's move to this function and explain it. Okay, so here you can see that this is the function, and inside this function you can see that I write a sorry, I take a infinite while loop, and after that I write the try and except block over here, and you can see that there are two parameter over here. First one is input text, and which type is string, and second one is error message, and which type also string. So move to this section. Okay, here I call this function and pass two argument. Okay, and the first argument is enter your choice, and after that second argument is please enter numeric value. Okay, let's move to this program. Sorry, let's move to this function. So here what I done inside the infinite while loop, I take the input. Why I take the infinite while loop over here? Because it asks for the user until the user enter the integer value. Otherwise, it show the error message. That means it execute the except block, and it shows the error message to the user, and after that it continue. Then the program flow goes to this section, and this way the infinite while loop will execute, and when the user enter the integer value, then it returns the value to the choice, to this reference. Okay, so let's check it, is this function work or not. So at first here I entered character, okay, which is non-numeric value, then I hit enter. Okay, so here you can see please enter numeric value. That means this else section, sorry, this message will display over here. That means this is the second argument, and this is the first argument. Here you can see it, when it asks for the value, it show this first argument, and after that when the conditions not satisfied, then it will show the error message, I mean except block message for this. Okay, so when I enter, okay, one more, when I enter any special character like percent, then it also show the message please enter numeric value. Okay, and it takes the input from the user without exiting this program. Okay, so this is the use of this function. So that's why in this way I validate the user input in case of integer value. Okay, so when I enter like 1, then it works and it returns. That means I enter the integer value, so that's why it return the value to this choice option, and after that according to this choice option I write here some condition statement, and according to this choice I call the function or method over here. Okay, and after that in case of 0 for exiting, so I write when choice equals to 0, then it at first it print a message, thank you for using, and after that it will break the infinite while loop. And when the choice option does not match any choice or any that means if the choice does not satisfy any condition, then else portion will execute and it show please enter valid choice 0 to 5, because we already validate the input at first when it asks for the user over here by this function. So that's why it shows that please enter valid choice. Okay, that means I just demo for I here enter. So this is another thing. Okay, so I enter 8, which is not from the menu. So that's why you can see please enter valid choice. That means this else portion will execute and it shows the message please enter choice. Okay, so let's delete and run again. Okay, so let's uh, move to this section. So you can see at first insert. So what happened if the user at first want to display the array? That means if the user want to display, so that's why I have to enter 2, option 2. Okay, so here you can see array is empty because we know that I do not enter any value. So that's why the array is empty and this message will show. Okay, so let's at first I have to insert. So that's why I enter 1 and hit enter. So here you can see there is two submenu. That means when we want to insert a value, there is two option over here. That means I can enter the value, sorry, I can insert the value at the last of the array, and otherwise we can insert the value in a specific index. So that's why two option is present. Okay, so what happened at first, previously we can show that array is empty. So what happened if I select option 2, that means insert at specific index. Let's see. Okay, this is so a message array is empty because there is no uh, value inside the array. So that's why we cannot enter a value in a specific index because there is no index, right? So at first we have to insert. So that's why here you can see option. After that I have to enter in option 1 because insert at end. Okay, because there is no value. So I at first I enter 10. Okay, so check one validation over here. So enter element to insert at end. Okay, here you can see I take this array as integer data type. So what happen if I enter the character which is non-numeric? So you can see uh, it will show a message please enter numeric value, and after that it asks again enter element to insert at end. That means it not exit from this insert option to directly main menu, and instead of this it asking again to insert a numeric value. So that's why I enter this and 10. So here you can see element inserted at end. Okay, this is a success message, and after that I display the array. That means after that, after inserting the data, we can see the display, see the array. Okay, so let's check the second option in context to insert element. Okay, so now there is one value which index is 0. So let's enter 2. So here you can see at first when the array is empty, then when I enter option 2, then it show the array is empty, but now the array is not empty. So that's why when I hit 2, option 2, okay, then it asks for the index, enter index to insert an element. So suppose I enter index 1. We know that there is array indexing start from the 0. So that's why this is the first index and its index is 0. Here I enter 1. Okay. So you can see the message invalid index. Okay. This is the one validation. So let's try again. So 1, and after that I have to enter 2, and it asks for the index. So here I entered 0. Okay, then after when the indexing check, after the indexing check which is exist or not. Okay, after checking the, it will display the option. That means it asking for the user which data you want to insert. So let's I enter 20 over here. Okay, so after that you can see there is two value, and here I select the index number 0. So that's why it inserted at 0th index, and the previous data which is 10 will shifted to the index number 1. So what we can see here first is we can insert the element at the end, and the second option is at the specific index, and here is the validation. First is the array is empty or not, and after that it asks for the index, and if the index is available, then it asks for the input element. Okay, so let's move to this code. Okay, so this is the function over here, insert element. So when user press 1, insert element from 1, then it the value of the choice is 1, and after that according to 1, if choice equals to 1, then insert element, this condition is satisfied, then it call the insert element function. So this is the program flow, and after that this operation will done in this function. Okay, so here you can see that at first I write global array. So why I write global array at first? Because here you can see I declare the array at first over here. Okay, and here I use the global keyword to access this array inside this function. Okay, that means inside this module I use this array. If I define an array inside this will be a local variable. Okay, but here I want to store the value inside this global variable. So that's why I write global keyword, and after that I write the array ARR. That means here inside this function I access the global this array inside this function. Okay, So that's why I write the global keyword over here. And after that, it asks for the two option, insert one, and here also I use this function take integer input to validate the user. And after that, according to the choice, there are two conditions over here. Choice one, take integer. That means this is the insert element at the end. So this is a function, built-in function of Python, which is append. That means using append keyword, we can insert a value inside a array at the last index. Okay. When it is empty, then it will store the value inside the zeroth index, and this takes an argument which is value. Okay. So arr.append, and inside append function I pass the argument, and after that the value will store inside the function. And let's move to this option 2. That means if we want to store the element in a particular index, in that case this else section will execute. So here at first I have to check each the array is empty or not. So that's why I write each empty function over here. I call a function, sorry, I previously I create a function over here, and it here I call it, and after that this block of code will execute. So before move to this section, at first explain this is empty function. Okay, so here you can see I create the function which name is empty, and at first I have to access the global array. So that's why I write here global array, and inside this here I check the length of the array. Okay, if the length of the array is equals to 0, that means array is empty. Okay, so simply I write this here, and because we need this condition checking, that means there are many so why I write it inside a function? Because to reduce the lines of code using function, we can use it multiple time without writing the entire code. Okay, so that's why I create a function which name is empty, and inside this function I check the condition. Okay, so here you can see uh, if length equals to 0, then it will print a message to the user array is empty. So previously you already seen this. Okay, like okay, here you can see when it is there is no value inside this array, then array is empty message is display here. So this is basically done by this function. And after that, printing the message return true. Okay, that means here I return the value as a boolean data type. Okay, return true. Otherwise, that means if length not equals to 0, that means if the array contains some element, then return false. Okay, I do not write it else section because here I use the return. Then after return, we all know that the rest of the code will not execute. So that's why at first it check the condition. If satisfy, then return true. Otherwise, it the program flow goes to this section and it returns false. Okay, so after then how it works. Okay, so here you can see if each empty, that means here you can see there is I no check the any condition like if is empty equals to 1 like this way. So how this work? That means each empty it returns true or false. Okay, if is empty, that means when it returns true, then the if statement will execute. So when it returns true, here you can see when the length equals to 0, that means array is empty, then it returns true. So that means when the array is empty, it returns true. Then here if condition will satisfy, that means if true, then it will return, otherwise it cannot return. Okay, otherwise it return false, but it is the true value. That's why if true is empty true, then it returns, otherwise this if condition will not work, then rest of the portion will execute. And if the condition is true, that means if is empty returns true value, then it returns from this, and after this block of code will not execute. Okay. So here already we seen that array is empty, and after that this block of code, that means here you can see it asks for the index from the user. This block of code will not execute here, it directly move to this main menu. Okay, so this is the isEmpty function, and how you can see how it's work. Okay, so let's move to this if condition false, then this block of code will execute. So let's move to this block of code. So here you can see what I done here. At first I asked for the user to enter the index. Okay, so for we all know index is integer, so that's why I use take it integer input function and pass two argument over here, and after validating user input, that means after taking the integer input, I write a condition over here. So here you can see I write the condition is that is the index less no, greater than equals to 0. That means we all know indexing of an array will start from the 0. So and index is not less than 0. So each I write, because of this I have to write this condition over here, each index greater than equals to 0 and less than length of array. So why less than? Because the indexing start from the 0. Assume inside the array there are 4 values. Okay, so length of the array will array is 4, but in context to index it starts from the 0. So if we calculate from the 0, then the indexing ends at the point of 3. So that's why the index should less than the length of the array, not equal to the array. Length of the array, okay, should less than the length of the array. And after this condition satisfy, it asks for the value to the user. Okay, that means at first it check is the array is empty or not, and after that it asks for the index, and after that if the index is right, okay, then it will ask for the value, okay, and after taking the value there is the inbuilt function which name is insert, and it takes two argument. First one is for index, that means in which index we want to store, and after that it takes the value, that means in particular index what value we want to store. So in this way we can insert a value in a particular index inside an array, and after that I print a success message, element inserted at index, and after that I call the display function, display array, to display the value inside the array. And after that I write the else section, that means if the user enter the choice which is not in the list, that means there is only two option choice 1 and choice 2. If user enter greater than 2, that means 3 4 5 6 in this way, then it so sorry, this is here, it is the index, and if the this else is for the index, if the index like for example I say that 4 value. So if the user enter like 4 in index number 4, then there is index is 0 to 3. So in that case this else part will execute and it will display a message invalid index, because there is no index of 4, because there is only 4 value inside this, so that's why it index start from the 0 and ends with 3. And this else for this choice option, okay, and if the user enter wrong choice, then it will show the message please enter valid choice and 1 to 2, okay, in this way. So here you can see when I okay, I just large it, okay, expand, okay, enter element to insert at specific index 0, and after that I enter 20, then element inserted at index 0, this message it comes from here, okay. Okay, so the option 1, that means insert element menu will cover, and now move to this option 2, that which is for display. So now I enter 2. So here you can see there is only 2 value inside the array. First one is 20, which index is 0, and second one is 10, which index is 1. Okay, so here you can see display, I call the function display array when the choice equals to true. So let's expand this mm, display array function, okay. So here similar way, at first I use the global keyword to access the global array inside this module. So after that this is the way, okay, here you can see this block of code I write inside the each empty function. So using this each empty function, we can check the array is empty or not in a single line. Okay, but if I write if I check it without the function, we have to write the total entire block. Okay, so that's why here I write two types of checking. So here I comment this. I use the isEmpty function, and okay, I already discussed isEmpty function, and after that I print the array. Here you can see array dot toList. ToList is the uh, inbuilt function in Python to display the array in this way. Okay, if I just normally print array, okay, print array without using the toList, then check the output. Okay, so I run it again, and okay, oh sorry, I for this time I just uncomment this. Here I already assigned some value. Okay, and let's run it again, and let's mm, for option 2 to display array. So here you can see that this is the first print. That means using toList. Here you can see just like a list. Here print just like a list. Okay, this array is print in this way, but when if I directly print the array, then you can see at first it show the array, and after that it prints the data type. That means it looks like this way. At first it print array, and after that it prints the data type, and after that it prints the value. To avoid this type of print, I use toList over here. Okay, so let's comment it and run it again. Okay, so basically for this type of print I use toList. Okay, let's move to the option 3, that means search and element. So let's just here for 3 search element function I write here. Okay, so I enter 3 over here. Okay, so here you can see search element. Okay, there are 4 options. That means inside an array we can search in different way. That means in case of we can, okay, for no, option 1, check if an element exists or not. This is also a search operation. That means if we need to search an element which is containing inside this array or not, or exist inside the array or not, so that's why for this reason option 1 is useful. Next move to the second, find the index of an element. Okay, so in case of option 1, we just check the value is available inside the array or not, exist or not, but we cannot find their index. So that's why option 2, if we need to know the index of the particular element, then option 2 will helpful. let's come to option 3. Find all indices of an element. That means we know that inside array we can store homogeneous data, and we can store a data multiple times, same data multiple times. That means we can store, here I take integer, so that's why I assume here you can see the value 2 I write multiple times. Here you can see 1, 2 or 3. Okay, we can store inside the same value multiple times. But in case of set, we cannot store it. Then it will store only one. After that, this two is not saved, okay, inside the set. But in case of array, we can store. So that's why if we want to check the particular value, how many times present inside the array for this, and also we want to know their index. Okay, so that's why option 3 is helpful. Okay, and last is find an element by index. That means here what I have to do, I have to just enter the index number, and according to the index I can see the value of the particular index. Okay, let's run. So basically, sorry, this is not. So here is the code over I write here. So after here you can see this is the option I print here. After that, it take the choice from the user, and according to the choice, this block of code will execute. So at first, check if an element exists or not. So that's why I have to enter one. So enter one, then enter element to search exist or not. So I just enter 7 over here. So here you can see that no element 7 is not in this array. Okay, that means if you see that there is 7 is not exist inside this array. Okay, so that's why I got this message, and after that search for, I have to enter 3, and after that it option 1, then okay, 5 is present, so I enter 5, then yes, element 5 is in this array. Okay, so let's check the second option, that means find the index of an element. So enter choice, enter choice 1 to 4, and after that it asks for the value. So here I also enter. Here also the validation for if I enter the value which is not exist inside the array. So here you can see I enter 80, so element 80 is not in this array. So that's why we cannot find the index of this element. So let's check again and select option 2, and now I enter 5. Okay, because we know that 5 is already present inside this array. Sorry, element, then I enter 5. Okay, element 5 found at index number 6. So let's print this array. Okay, again, so here you can see 1 is the 1 is for 0th index to 1. In similar way, if we count first one after the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is the 6. So here you can see the element 5 found at index 6. Okay, let's move to the another option. That means now I now what I do, now want to found all indices of an element. So that's why I have to enter 3 here. Also the validation checking like available or not. So for this time I skip it and I enter 2 because we previously we can sorry, here you can already see you can see that there is 3 times of 3, sorry, 2. So hit enter. So here you can see that uh, okay, here I print the type of this array. When I explain it, then I will tell about this. Okay, 2 found at indices. That means 2. Here you can see that there are 3 2, and in the index where 2 is present, it will show. Sorry, it shows here. Okay, so here first one is 0, then after that this is the one index, and after that this is index number 3, and this is the index number 5. Okay, so in this way we can found a value inside the array, how many times it will repeat, and according to also we can found the um, found their index. Okay, so let's move to the last option. That means okay, that means find an element by index. That means here you can see there are 7 value inside this array. So here also one validation, that means if the index is not inside the array, then it will show the message. But here I just enter 5, then you can see that index number 5, the inside, inside the array at index 5, 2 is available. So here you already see that the in case of indices, the last one is 5. So here I enter the index of 5 and it returns 2. Okay, that means all search element menu, inside the search element menu there are 4 options. All the options are covered. So let's move to this program. So just for the first, that means for an element exists or not. So that's why for checking this I use the in keyword if element in array. That means using the built-in function in, we can check a value is exist inside the array or not. Okay, and in case of 2, that means find the index of an element. Okay, there is a system defined, sorry, this is a built-in function which is index, and it takes one argument. Here you can see the element, it asking for the element. That means which value you want to find with their index. Okay, so it returns a value. So that's why I write I store the value inside the index, and I write it inside a try and except block, because if the element not found inside the array, then it will show a value error. So to handle this situation, I write inside the try and except block, and here you can see if I find the element using the index keyword, then it will print the element found at index after that index value, and otherwise it show the value error, and then the except block will execute and it prints the message element is not in this array. In similar way, if we want to found all the index of a given value, then option 3 will execute for this. Then at first it asks for the element which you want to find, okay, and after that I create a reference which name is indices. So basically here what I do, I declare an array. So this is a local variable because I print the value inside this function, so that's why I take this reference as a local reference, and after that I print this, because just if I put just put it just third bracket like this way, okay, I n d I c e indices equals to like this way, then by default it will be a list. uh, yes, it will be a list. So if so that's why I for this reason I print the type of this indices. So that's why here you can see this message over here, otherwise it will be a list. Okay. So after that I write this for loop, and here I write index and item, and after that in enumerate array, and here I check the condition. if the item if the item equals to the element, that means the search element, then inside this indices array I put the value of index, okay, and similar way it check total array, and when the value will match to this item, then it will store the index inside this indices function. And after completing the for loop, that means suppose there is 7 elements, so that's why it check the 7 value inside this for loop, and after all the value checking, I write this if indices, that means if indices each present. That means why I write indices, because here I mention the empty array, okay, so that's why I write just if indices. That means if the indices will each if the indices is empty, then this if will not execute, then the else portion will execute. Okay, because there is no value, so that's why if the indices, that means if indices equals to true, that means it contains some value, that means it contains some index. Okay, then it will print the indexes. Okay, here you can see in case of 2 it found 3 indices index over here, and it store it inside this indices array, and it will display. Otherwise it show the message the element is not in this array. Okay, and after that the last option, that means find an element by index. So here you can see that this is for option 4. At first I have to check, at first it takes the input of the index from the user. Okay, and after that I have to check the index is valid or not. That means it takes check the condition, that means if the length of the, if the index value of the index is greater than the greater than 0 and should less than the length of the array, then I print the value just in this way array, and after that if I put the index inside the third bracket, then it will returns the value of this particular index. Okay, otherwise it's show the message index not found in this array. That means if we enter any minus value, or a value which is greater than the length of the array. Okay, so basically this is the search element function of an array. Okay, let's move to the option 4. That means update an element. So it asks for the index. So that I enter, there is also the validation checking like this. I enter 80 invalid index, and after that I, sorry, option 4 and 5, this is a valid index, so that's why it asking for the element. So I here 50. So here you can see at the index of 5 the value is updated. Okay, here you can see the 50 which is enter here for update. Okay, so this is the update function. So at first we have to access the global array, and after that I check the array is empty or not, and after that it asks for the index, and in similar way at first I check the index is valid or not, and if the index is valid, then it asks for the value to input to update. Okay, and it asks for the value, updated value. Okay, new updated value, then it will show the message success message, and otherwise if the index as is invalid, then it show the message invalid index. Okay, now come to the option, last option, that means delete. So hit 5 and enter. Okay, so here you can see there are 3 option available. Okay, so that means here you can see at first remove element by value. That means if I want to delete the value by the value, that means here you can see there is 1 2 3 2 3 4 and 50, like this way. So if I want to delete 4, so then if I enter 4, then the 4 will be deleted. Okay, for this, using this option 1, that means remove element by value. And option 2 is remove element by index. That means I don't know the value, okay, value of the particular index, and if I want to delete by the index, that means if I want to delete the first index, that means zeroth index, okay, then this one will be deleted, okay, and the last one is remove element from last. That means using the option 3, we can delete if in this scenario, if we do delete, then the 5 will delete it at first, and after that the 50 will be deleted. In this way, the delete the value will be deleted from the last. Okay. So let's check. At first, remove element by value, so that's why I hit 1 and I press enter, and it asks for the value. Then I enter, suppose, 4, right? Then you can see 4, value 4 removed successfully from the from first. Okay, I run it again. Okay. So option 5, so, and press 1. So here you can see there is 6 value inside this array, and here you can see 2 is present here at index 1 and index, this is 0, 1, 2, and index number 3. Okay, so if I enter the value 2, then which 2 will be deleted? That means in at the index of 1 or index of 2, sorry, index of 3, which 2 will be deleted. Okay, so let's check. So here you can see the first, that means from, if we start the indexing 0 to n minus 1, okay, I mean 0 to 0, 1 to 3, then when which data will be deleted? The first, when the condition, when the match data will first present. Okay, that means at first check the 1, then it check for the index 2, sorry, index 1. In similar way, when it when the condition match, then the first value, first index will be deleted. Okay, so that's why it shows this message this way: value 2 removed successfully from first. That means here you can see the uh, second times 2 will not delete it. It is also present here, okay, after 3. So that's why first is so important in this message. Okay, let's move to this another. That means option 2, that means remove element by index. This is the simple. So simple, that means if I want to delete, okay, and there is also the validation checking. That means if I enter 50, then index not found. In similar way, previous, in case of previous, that means if we enter a value which is not available, then it will show the message according to this. Okay, let's check again. Enter 5 to delete and go for the option 2, that means index. So I want to delete 50. Okay, no, that means I have to enter the index of 3. So here I enter option 3, that means for this. Okay, so you can see enter index 3 and value 50 removed successfully from index 3. Okay, so here at first I print the value which value is removed was removed, and after that it show the index, I mean from which index and from which index which value is removed. Okay, so let's check the last option, that means remove element from the last. So that's why I just enter 3, and there you can see value 5 removed successfully from last, because here we do not need any input from the user, because from the last index it delete the data from the last index. Okay, so let's explain the function delete element. Okay, so here you can see at first I access the global array inside this delete element function, and after that I check the array is empty or not. Okay, because is the array is empty, then we cannot perform this operation. Okay, so if there is no value, so what what value we delete from the list, sorry, from the array. So after that it asks for the choice, and according to this, so at first the choice equals to 1 for remove an element by the value. There is a built-in function which is remove, and it takes one argument which is value. So here you can see it takes the input from the user, and I pass the value as an argument inside this remove function, and after that uh, the value will be removed from the array. Okay, and this is the value error. If the if the value is not present inside the array, then it occurs a value error. So that's why I write it in the try and except block, and after that move to the option 2, that means delete the value by their index. So it asks for the at first it asks for the index to the user, and after getting index there is also the try except, because if the index is not present inside the array, then it will show a error which is index error. So that's why I write here try and except. Mm, so here you can see that to delete the value by the index, there is a built-in function which name is pop, and it takes one argument, and this is the argument. That means here I have to pass the index in which index I want to remove the data. Okay, and the pop function will return the value of the remove element. Okay, that means here you can see this message over here. When I enter index 3 here, the value 50 is display. Okay, so here you can see when we use the pop built-in function, it returns the popped element. Okay, so I stored the popped element inside the delete element reference, and after that I print the value inside the print function. Okay, so here the basic difference between the remove and the pop is that using remove, okay, we cannot um, we cannot fetch the removed element. Okay, but using this function we can using pop, it returns the popped element. Okay, and after that it will remove data from the array. Okay, so and after that I print the display, I call the display array function to display the array. Okay, and if the index is not present inside the array, then it will, this except block will execute and it print this message. And the last one is remove element from the last. Here I use the pop built-in function, but here you can see I do not pass any argument. Okay, so basically what happened, if we call pop function and we do not pass any argument to this pop function, then it will remove data from the last index of the array. Okay, so where is, okay, here you can see, here I use the option 3, and then you can see that there is 4 value inside this array, and after hit option 3, that means this block of code was executed. So here I use the pop without any argument. So here you can see the last value, that means last index will be popped. Okay, so here you can see 5 is not present inside this array. Okay, and after that here I print the array. So basically this is the CRUD operation of an array over here. So what we do, what I, so at the summary, okay, so what we seen that insert element, okay, in two way, insert at end and insert at specific index, and just for exit I enter, and another one is display array and search, and inside search there are 4 types of search is present. Okay, one is check the element is exist or not, and second one is find the index of an element, and third one is find all indices of an element, and the fourth one is find an element by index. Okay, and similar way we can delete an element by value by index, and the another one is if we do not give any do not pass any argument inside the pop function, it will delete the last index. Okay, so this is the CRUD operation of an array. Okay, thank you.